In this video, we learn how to log in to our API and get a bearer token, and also learn how to delete an item from API. This is our fourth video, retrofit learning video. First, create an Android resource file, name it menu add node, and send it to menu. Inside this menu, just add one item, set its title, show as action always, and set an ID and set its icon. When user clicks on this icon, we want to delete or note. Go to add note activity and add this menu to our activity. To do that, override on create options menu and inflate our menu. We want a glitch event for our menu item, so override on options item selected and use a switch statement. If the icon glitched, first check if ID extra equals to 0. We know that our node didn't exist in our API. We just show a user that node removed and return to previous activity. And if ID extra is not equal to 0, we know that node exists in server, and we create a method delete node from API and pass our ID extra. Now we write this method. Use our service. Use service builder.build service and pass iService.class. And our delete return a call of type node service.delete node and pass ID extra. Increase this request. If request failed, show a toast to user that request failed. And if request go to server and server return a response, check if response is successful. If response successful, we copy these 3 lines. We delete our node and go back to our activity, our main activity. Run the app. If we click on node 7 and we press this icon, we can see that node 7 is deleted. And if we go to our nodes table in our server, we can see that node 7 is deleted. Now we want to create a login page. To do that, create a new activity, an empty activity, and name it a login activity. First, we go to manifest. We want our login activity to be our launcher activity. Now go to login activity layout. In this layout, we add an edit text for user to put his username, another edit text for password, a button. So when user clicks on this button, we want to send a login request to server, and we also add a progress bar. Now go to our login activity, define our to edit text or button and our progress bar. In on create method, get a reference of our button, edit text and progress bar, and set a challenge event for our button. First, set progress bar to be visible. Now we call a method login to API. Now it's time to write this method. First, we use our service and we use a service builder that build service and pass iService.class. Our service has a method login to API which returns a call of type string. And I accept three parameters. First, grant type, which is in ASP.NET Web API, have to be password, username, and password. Now we increase this request. If request failed, we show user that request failed and set visibility of progress bar to be invisible. Else, if request sent to server and server returned a response, we set visibility of progress bar to be invisible again. Check if response is successful. So user logged in successfully and server returned a bearer token. This bearer token exists in our response body. We want to store this token in our shared preferences. So create shared preferences and create an editor of these shared preferences. Editor dot put string a key that we use a bearer token, and for value we use response dot body and apply changes. We also want to close this activity and go back and go to open main activity. We also want to show user that he logged in successfully, and we want to show the token that we received from server. And else, we want to show user that his username or password is incorrect. And we also want to move this progress bar set visibility to invisible on top of if statement. And we run the app, and after 4 videos our app now is complete. we had a user in our API at gmail.com with password A, and if we use wrong password, we can't log in, and if we pass A and log in, here is our token that we received from server. We can add a node. We also can update the node, and we can remove this node. Thank you for watching.